Hey guys, tonight we're going somewhere that smells like sulfur, sounds like coughing, and feels like splinters in your feet. Ever wonder what it'd be like to wake up as a poor little girl in 19th century London, working 12-hour shifts in a match factory surrounded by poison gas and silence? Well, guess what? Tonight, that's you. You lie still, at first confused. The ceiling above isn't yours. It sags with brown stains and a hole where a rat tail disappears. The mattress is gone. In its place, a lumpy pad of straw, and beneath that, wooden slats that creak with every breath you take. You're cold. Not the cozy, under-the-blanket kind of cold. More like your bones forgot how to feel warm. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me, where are you listening from tonight? What time is it for you right now? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyelids flutter. The air tastes like damp stone and soot. You sit up. Your arms are thin, your fingernails black, with something that doesn't wash off. A groan escapes your lips, surprising you. It's high-pitched, childlike. You crawl to the edge of the straw pad and blink toward the window. It's not yet dawn, but already the smoky fog curls through the broken glass. Somewhere outside, someone is shouting in a thick Cockney accent. The door creaks. A woman, your mother apparently, pushes it open with her back. She's carrying 2 pails, wet to her knees, hair falling from a handkerchief. She doesn't speak. She sets the pails down, rips a crust of stale bread in half, and holds it out to you. Your stomach clenches before you even eat. London in the 1870s is not a kind place to wake up in, especially not as a child, especially not in the East End, where the chimney smoke never lifts and the cobblestones never dry. It's a time when poor girls like you weren't children long. You were workers, bodies to be used and worn out. The bread tastes like dust and something sour. You chew it anyway. Outside, a bell tolls once, then twice. Your mother's eyes widen. That's your cue. No school, no playground, no cartoons with breakfast, just stiff shoes with no laces, a woolen dress that hasn't been washed in weeks, and a woolen coat that smells faintly of mildew and mutton. You shove your arms through the sleeves and tie your scarf like you've done it 1,000 times, which are apparently you have. The walk to the factory is half a mile, maybe more. You don't know streets here. They twist and crisscross like a puzzle drawn by someone angry. Your feet slap against cold stone, dodging horse droppings and puddles that look like ink. You pass shop fronts still shuttered, a dog gnawing a boot, and 2 boys fighting over a crust of bread. You don't stop. Somewhere, a constable eyes you and then looks away. You're too small to be interesting, too common to be missed. You pass a bakery. The smell stabs your nose, warm dough and sugar. Your stomach tightens again, but you don't slow. Girls like you don't go into bakeries, not unless they're sweeping the floor, and you've got a different fate. Bryant and May. That's the name on the brick wall in front of you. Big white letters, faded and chipped. The gates are already open, swinging wide like jaws. Inside, a stream of girls just like you pour through. No talking, no laughing, just the shuffle of feet and the occasional cough. You step through. The smell hits first. Vinegar, ash, something sickly sweet and rotten beneath it all. That's the phosphotrang, white phosphorus. It coats everything, invisible but inescapable. Historians still argue whether factory owners understood the full effects of phosphorus exposure at this point, or just didn't care. Spoiler alert, probably both. The building is 3 stories, but you stay on the first. Children do the tipping, dipping wooden sticks into a shallow tray of phosphorus slurry, then laying them out to dry. The room is dim, lit by flickering gas lamps. Your eyes water. Your throat already feels raw. You find your place, a stool, a tray, a tub. You sit. Your hands move as if they've always done this. Pick, dip, lay. Pick, dip, lay. The sticks hiss faintly in the tray. Every so often one sparks and blackens. You learn not to react. There's no one telling jokes. No foreman offering you gloves. There are just little girls, mostly between 8 and 12, shoulders hunched, eyes red. No one talks. The only sound is the clink of sticks, the hiss of chemical contact, and the occasional wet cough. Time slithers by like syrup. You try to breathe through your mouth. That makes it worse. Your tongue tastes like pennies. Your nose stings. One girl across the table from you has a line of dried blood under her nose. You don't look again. Around mid-morning, your fingers slip. One stick clatters onto the floor. A shadow crosses your path. You freeze. But the man just walks past. That was luck. By the time the first bell signals break, your fingers are trembling. Not from nerves, just from effort. You've dipped over 1,000 matches. You count them without thinking. You're supposed to hit 2,000 by end of shift. That's what they want. You don't move when the bell rings. Not right away. Your knees creak when you stand. You're 10, but you feel 60. Your back aches. Your jaw aches. Your ears ring. You haven't even had your first birthday party here, and already you're living like you're at the end of your rope. Welcome to the job. You'll be here a while. You stretch just enough to feel your spine click, then regret it. The room is cold and doesn't warm no matter how long you've been working. Your body is sore in the strangest places. Your wrists from hovering above the tray. Your neck from constantly peering down. Your calves from balancing on a stool a little too short. Then you catch a glimpse of yourself. There's a shard of cracked mirror stuck in the wooden beam across the factory wall. It's cloudy and jagged, and maybe it's meant for checking your cap is on straight, or maybe someone just jammed it there out of boredom years ago. But when you glance at it, you see her, you. Thin doesn't quite capture it. You're like a shadow wearing clothes. Your hair's a dark tangled knot, your cheeks hollow, and your eyes, well, they're yours. Wide and alert. But in this body, they look much older than they should. The skin around your mouth is chapped. There's something crusted near your nostril. You raise your hand to wipe it and hesitate. Your fingers are yellowish. That's the phosphorus. It doesn't scrub off. Most girls don't even try. You don't look long. That mirror isn't kind. The bell clangs again. Break's over. All 20 minutes of it. You didn't eat. Didn't really have anything to eat. Some of the other girls shared dry bread crusts, and one lucky girl had a piece of carrot. You watched her hold it in her palm like a jewel before biting into it like it was cake. You didn't ask to share. You return to your station. The tray still waits. The sticks haven't moved. No one ever helps. You pick, dip, lay. The motion takes over. You're working beside someone now. Another girl who looks about your age, maybe a little older. She's got a scar near her eye and a constant sniffle. She doesn't say her name. Nobody says their names. Names are a luxury. But she nudges you at one point and mutters, "Don't breathe when it smokes." Noted. She's right, though. The real threat here isn't the burns, which you've had. It's the invisible stuff. The phosphotrang, or white phosphorus, is still legal in this time. It's cheap and effective. Everyone knows it's bad for you, but nobody really talks about it until things start falling off, like teeth or jaws. Which brings us to the next thing you notice. The pain, a sharp one in your molar. Left side. At first you think maybe it's just the cold. Cold can make your teeth ache, right? But this is deeper. You feel it when you clench. You feel it when you breathe. And then, sometime around the 500th dip of your second tray, it pulses with its own rhythm. A beat, like it's trying to break out of your face. You rub your jaw. That helps for 2 seconds. The pain laughs at your effort and comes back harder. Historians still argue whether the first signs of phossy jaw, a disease caused by prolonged exposure to white phosphorus, began with a dull ache or a full-on throb. You'd bet your next crust it's the latter. The girl next to you spits into a rag and hides it in her apron. You look away. You don't ask questions in this place. Someone once tried. You remember hearing the story, how one girl wrote a letter, snuck it to a journalist or some reformer. Some say she ended up disappearing. Others say she joined a group called the Matchgirls Union. though you don't really know what that means. Sounds like a fairy tale. Either way, that girl's not here now. Your hand slips again. The phosphorus touches a scrape on your finger. It stings immediately. You suck in air but make no sound. The girl beside you sees. She shrugs. Everyone gets burned. It's just part of the job. Lunch isn't for another 2 hours. The lights flicker. Gaslight never really stays steady. It hums faintly, and the shadows it casts make the whole factory look like it's breathing. Sometimes the walls feel like they're shifting. You blink hard to keep focus. One of the overseers passes down the aisle. He walks slowly, the tip of his cane tapping with every step. You lower your head like everyone else. The cane never touches the floor too hard, but it taps. Tap, tap, tap. Then silence. That's when he's stopped behind someone. Sometimes that's followed by screaming, or nothing at all, which is worse. But not now. He just walks on. You manage to get through your third tray. It's an accomplishment. The girls who work here longer than 3 months start to lose speed. Their fingers cramp. Their eyes blur. A few have gone blind in one eye. You remember one girl whose fingers were permanently curled like bird claws. You heard she used to be fast. The pain in your jaw spreads. It's not just one tooth anymore. It's a bloom. A poisoned flower unfurling beneath your cheekbone. You try to breathe slow. Imagine somewhere else, anywhere else. A bed, a fire, a field, but the sulfur stink yanks you back. Stop daydreaming, someone mutters behind you. You don't turn, you just dip faster. Toward the end of the shift, a girl down the road drops her tray. It crashes with a clatter that echoes. Everyone freezes. She's maybe 9, blonde hair. She stares at the mess, eyes huge. One hand bleeds where a stick cut her. The overseer doesn't yell. He just steps forward, taps her shoulder, and she walks away with him. No one sees her again that day. You don't speak, you don't breathe, you just dip. Dip, lay. It's only noon. You pause only long enough to shake out your hands. Carefully, under the table, so no one thinks you're slacking. The tingling in your fingers is constant now, like they've been asleep too long. You flex one knuckle, feel it pop. No one's given you gloves. No one ever will. Another hour slinks by, sluggish as syrup in winter. The lights flicker again. Some of the girls cough in rhythm. It's almost like a song now, the dry, hollow kind sung by tired lungs. You catch yourself counting the coughs between dips. 1, 2, 3, like it's some awful music box wound by misery. At last, the bell rings for break. But don't get too excited. This isn't recess. This is the part where you gather your aching body, drag your tired limbs to the edge of the floor, and sit in a damp corridor with your back to the wall. Your lunch? If you remembered to bring it, it's in your apron pocket. You fish out a bit of cloth and unwrap it. A heel of bread, hard as a brick, and a few crumbles of what might once have been cheese. You stare at it for a moment. Consider how many rats have sniffed it, then shrug and take a bite. Hunger doesn't ask for permission. The girl beside you, still hasn't said her name, offers you a sip from her tin. It's lukewarm water with a strange film floating in it. You nod thanks anyway. You're too tired to be picky. Just across from you, there's a drainage pipe dripping into a shallow puddle. A rat skitters through it, pauses, and eyes your bread like it's considering a trade. You pull it closer. Victorian London isn't known for its hygiene. In fact, the East End is more infamous than anything. Historians note that over half of children in areas like Bethnal Green died before the age of 5. And the ones who didn't? Well, they got jobs. Like this one, which, as you're quickly learning, might not be much better. You overhear 2 girls whispering about the workhouse. One claims her sister got taken there after she passed out on the job. The other says her aunt begged them to avoid it at all costs. They shave your head, she says, and make you eat porridge with bugs in it. No one laughs. It's not really a joke. It's not. You finish your bread. Every crumb. It's barely enough to take the edge off. Your jaw still aches. That one molar is throbbing now like it's pulsing to its own beat, and your breath is starting to smell sweet. Not in a good way. Sweet like rot. That's another sign. Phossy jaw, they call it. Matchmaker's disease. The phosphorus seeps into your bones through your gums, and slowly, silently, your jaw begins to die. Sometimes the flesh starts to glow faintly in the dark. Some girls called it fairy lights. But it wasn't magic. It was decay. Historians still argue whether factory owners knew exactly how bad the condition was. Some records show they banned workers from seeing doctors unless the factory approved. Others say they simply pretended it didn't happen. You figure it's probably both. Denial is easier when you're making money. The bell rings again. That's your cue, back to the floor, back to the tray. You glance up for 1 second too long and get a light tap on the back of the head from the overseer. No words, just that look, the one that says, "You're replaceable." You sit, pick, dip, lay. You hear the girl next to you murmur, "They say a lady came here once, Annie something." You glance at her. "Annie Besant," she adds. "Talked to the older girls, said we could strike, make 'em stop." You try not to react, the idea is dangerous, but something stirs inside your chest anyway. A flicker, like remembering what it's like to breathe clean air. You want to ask more, you don't, not yet. A tray slams on a table somewhere. Someone's finished their batch. That earns a nod from a matron near the door, one of the rare adults here. She looks barely older than 17, already tired of everything. The afternoon stretches on. Outside, a rare ray of sunlight breaks through the soot-stained window, and for a moment you can see dust dancing in the air like tiny ghosts. It's oddly beautiful, until you remember you're probably breathing that in, along with the phosphorus. Your lips are dry. You lick them and taste the chemicals on your skin. You wonder if your teeth will make it another day. By now you're on your 4th tray. Your fingers are stiff. The wooden sticks blur together. You blink fast, try to keep count. It's important. If you're behind quota, they'll dock your pay, which wasn't much to begin with. "Oi," the girl beside you whispers. "Watch." You look over. One of the older girls, maybe 13, is folding a note into her sleeve. Tiny piece of paper, no bigger than a matchbox label. She tucks it quick, glancing at the overseer's direction. "What's it say?" you whisper back. "Don't know, but I think it's for the papers, about the burns, the jaw stuff, the ones who vanish." Your pulse jumps. For a moment the factory feels like it's watching you, like the walls might tell on you if you listen too close. But no one says anything. The girl with the note just keeps working, like nothing happened. By the time the sun fades, your world is reduced to 3 things: pain, phosphorus, and silence. Your neck aches. Your breath rattles. The back of your head throbs where you got tapped. The girl next to you stopped whispering. She's holding her cheek same side as you. Pick, dip, lay. Pick, dip, lay. And maybe, just maybe, you start to imagine a life where this wasn't normal. The bell clangs again, sharp and metallic. It echoes through the rafters, bouncing off beams like it's trying to shake loose whatever's still clinging to your bones. You flinch, not because it's loud, but because it means the next part of the day has arrived. The long, tired walk to the factory toilets, if you're lucky. Or just a quick break against the wall. Eyes forward, bladder ignored. But that's not what today has planned for you. "Up!" a voice snaps behind you. It's not angry, just tired. A matron gestures with her chin. You shuffle out of line and follow her toward the far wall. Not the front entrance, not the break room, the side. You've never been down that hallway before. The girl behind you whispers, "What did you do?" You don't answer because you don't know. You didn't break a tray. You didn't talk. You haven't missed quota, probably. Maybe. The hallway narrows and the air changes. It's colder here. Damp. The bricks are slick with something you don't want to name. You pass 2 doors before she stops in front of the 3rd and knocks. A thin voice inside says, "Bring her in." You step into a room that's too warm, too quiet. It smells like pipe smoke and leather. A man sits behind a desk that looks too clean to belong in this building. His hair is slicked back, and his moustache curls at the ends. His cane leans beside him, polished like it's for show, but you know better. "Name?" he asks. You hesitate, your real name, or the one the forewoman calls you? You give him both. He doesn't write anything down. "Know why you're here?" he says. You shake your head. He leans back. Slower than last week. Less trays. That toothache's still bothering you. Your jaw twinges as if it hears him. You nod slowly. He clicks his tongue, as if disappointed, but not surprised. Could be nothing. Could be something. Could be that jaw thing. You try not to look terrified. Tell you what, he says, keep up your numbers by Friday and I won't send you down to the nurse. You know what she does, don't you? You nod. Everyone knows. She cuts. There it is, out loud. The whispered horror stories of girls who went in with a toothache and came out with bandages and a hole where their cheek used to be, or didn't come out at all. Now go on, back to your station, and don't let me see you rubbing that jaw again. You stumble out, heart racing faster than your feet can manage. Back at your tray, the girl beside you raises her eyebrows. You don't answer. There's nothing to say. This is the rhythm now. Fear, pain, obedience. Still, something about that room sticks with you. The way it smelled too clean. The way the man said, that jaw thing, like it was a smudge on a boot. Not a disease, not a death sentence, just inconvenient. You wonder how many other girls he said that to. How many just disappeared. Pick, dip, lay. Your hands go numb again. The day drags on, slower than the ones before. Each second stretches like syrup over cold stone. Your eyelids start to flutter mid-task. You jerk awake just in time to stop a tray from tipping. That earns you a look from the matron. You nod, ashamed. To keep yourself awake, you focus on the sounds around you. The slap of wet sticks, the rasp of wheezy breathing, the hiss of phosphorus. It almost becomes a rhythm, like music. But not a pretty kind. More like a dirge. A funeral march for childhood. Your jaw pulses again. By now it's hard to swallow. You try to distract yourself by counting floor tiles. 42. Then back to the tray. Then the wall cracks. Then a patch of someone's boot sole peeling off. You're inventing games to avoid slipping into unconsciousness. You try imagining the bakery again, but the vision tastes too sweet. It hurts. Even in your imagination, it hurts. The girl beside you mutters, I heard someone's mum threw acid at the factory gate last week. You blink. What? Said they fired her girl. Girl couldn't chew. Thought she was faking. She weren't. She was glowing. You remember the stories. Phosphorescence. Jaws glowing in the dark. Fringe historians have written about it. Some say it was exaggerated, a myth. But the factory girls swore it was true. They'd whisper about teeth lighting up at night like ghost lanterns. Historians still argue if that was real. Your brain offers helpfully, as if that makes anything better. You almost laugh. Almost. Instead, you look down at your hands. Still attached, still moving, still yours. The sun starts to dip outside, the gas lamps brightening to compensate. Your shadow stretches longer across the table. That's the only sign you have that it's late. There's no window in your section of the factory. Just a sliver of sky you caught on your way back from the overseer's office. The end of shift feels close. You can taste it. Like copper, like blood. You blink rapidly and tell yourself just a few more dips. Just a few more trays. Just survive the bell. That's your goal now. Not to thrive, not to dream. Just survive the bell. You look down. Your hand is shaking again. Pick, dip, lay. The last few trays of the day always feel like lifting boulders with spiderweb fingers. Your body moves, but only because it has to. Every joint has its own complaint. Your neck clicks. Your wrist burns. Your jaw, well, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's somehow worse. It's gone numb. The bell rings. Not the sharp clang of break time or the harsh toll of morning. This one is different. Long, low. It echoes off the brick walls and sighs like even the building is exhausted. You did it. You survived another shift. Except you don't feel victorious. Your stool scrapes back and your legs groan. It's the kind of ache that crawls up your spine and into your skull, telling you to lie down and never get back up. You want to sleep for a year, maybe 2. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere with blankets and a fireplace that doesn't burn your lungs. The factory doors open slowly. You and the other girls shuffle out in lines, like ghosts dragging chains. No one talks. Not because you're forbidden to, but because there's nothing left to say. You step outside and the cold hits like a slap. London air at night is a whole different beast. It smells like coal and fog and sorrow. The kind of chill that sinks through fabric and skin, finds your bones, and stays there. You wrap your thin coat tighter around yourself. It doesn't help. The walk home is long, longer than you remember. Cobblestones stretch endlessly, glistening with leftover rain. Horse-drawn carts pass, splashing sludge at your ankles. You don't flinch. Your shoes are already soaked. Inside, your toes feel like stones. You pass the bakery again. It's dark now, shutters drawn, but the ghost of the smell lingers. Yeast, burnt sugar, a memory of better things. You slow down just enough to breathe it in. Then you keep walking. Someone whistles nearby. 2 boys your age, barefoot, carrying sacks. One of them makes a face at you. You look away. No time for them, no energy. A woman sweeps her stoop as you pass. She doesn't look up. She doesn't ask where your mother is. She doesn't ask what a little girl is doing out alone at nearly 10 o'clock at night. Because this is normal. This is expected. This is Victorian London. You reach the alley behind your building. A cat slips past, its ribs showing through matted fur. You pause, tempted to follow it. If only because it looks like it knows where warmth is. But it disappears under a fence, and you're left with the back door and 3 flights of stairs. The climb feels impossible. Each step pulls at your thighs, like you're lifting weights tied to your knees. You hold the rail with one phosphorus-stained hand and think about letting go. Just for a moment, just to rest. You don't. At the top, you fumble with the latch. The door creaks open, and the stale warmth of the tenement greets you. It smells like boiled cabbage and wet wool. Your mother is asleep in a chair, head tilted back, mouth open slightly. A pot bubbles on the stove, probably just water. You wonder if she meant to cook something, or if she was just boiling it to stay warm. Your little brother is curled on the floor, bundled in a coat 2 sizes too big. He's coughing in his sleep, the kind of cough that sounds like it starts deep in the soul. You don't wake anyone. You sit on the floor and lean your head against the wall. Your eyes blur. It's not tears. You're just tired. Above you, the rafters creak. A draft sneaks in under the window. The moon is barely visible through the grime on the glass. You think about the tray of matches you dipped today. Whether they'll light clean. Whether someone will strike one and watch it glow golden, unaware it came from a child whose gums are rotting. You wonder if you'll ever dip another tray, if your jaw will swell overnight, if you'll wake up with pus on your pillow, if your mother will notice. Some girls don't even get a burial, they just vanish. Too poor for a grave, too tired for a protest, too small to be missed. You shift, something cracks in your spine. There's a draft again, or maybe your skin just forgot how to hold heat. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to escape. For 5 minutes. You don't dream anymore. Not unless you count the bakery. The cold wakes you before the light does. You've slipped sideways during the night, and your cheek is pressed against the floorboards. There's a damp spot under your head. Not sweat, not drool. You sit up slowly, fingers probing the area around your jaw. Your neck feels stiff. Your ear hums. Then comes the pain. Not sharp, not screaming, but deep. Like your bones have been replaced by something metallic and wrong. You touch your cheek again and wince. Something is swelling. You shuffle to the broken mirror shard in the corner. Same one as always, wedged between the wall and a loose nail. In the dim light of the dying fire, you angle it and see what you feared. The left side of your face is slightly puffy, already turning a strange color. Pale, but tinged with something unnatural, almost greenish yellow, and your breath smells worse than yesterday. You can't quite describe it. Like sweetened iron, like rot dressed up in sugar. You test your jaw, it moves, but only just. Your gums feel spongy. Welcome to phossy jaw, sweetheart. Historians today describe it with medical precision. Necrosis of the jawbone due to phosphorus exposure. Common among match factory workers in the 19th century. But to you, it's not necrosis. It's the fear that your face is about to betray you, that it will start to decay and everyone will see it. that the man with the cane will call you in again and say, "Time for the nurse." There's no cure, just cutting or waiting. You wrap a scarf tighter around your neck, hiding the puffiness. It doesn't help the smell. Your mother stirs in her chair. She doesn't speak. You don't either. The match factory doesn't offer sick days. Being sick is suspicious. Being hurt is expensive. For them. You've seen girls punished for showing signs of weakness. And you've seen how quickly someone else takes your stool if you miss a day. So you move. Same shoes, same street, same sky smothered by chimney fog. Today, though, your legs are slower. The phosphorus has a way of sapping strength, even before it destroys bone. You feel it like lead in your limbs, a dragging weight that no one else can see. And if they do, they don't care. You make it to the gate just as it's closing. Inside, the factory is humming with noise already, dipping, sorting, packing. The air bites more than usual. Or maybe you're just noticing it more now. When the pain in your jaw spikes, every other sense sharpens. The hiss of phosphorus, the twitch of every light flicker, the sound of your own blood moving in your ears. At your table, the girl with the scar is already working. She gives you one look and squints. "You smell funny," she says. You don't answer. She doesn't press. Pick, dip, lay. Every movement now feels like a gamble. Will it make your head throb? Will the heat of the tray flare up your gums? Will someone notice the faint shine of pus near your tooth? You try to keep your mouth closed as much as possible, not just to hide the swelling, but the smell. You've heard stories that the first sign someone's glowing inside is their breath. Not the romantic kind of glow. The creepy, sickly, actual phosphorescent kind. You wonder if your breath glows in the dark. You don't dare find out. By mid-morning, your hands are shaking again. The trays feel heavier. Not physically, psychologically. Like you're carrying not just wood, but the weight of knowing your body is losing the fight. Someone 2 rows down lets out a moan. Not loud, not even dramatic. Just the kind of sound that leaks out when you forget to keep it in. Everyone looks. The girl, maybe 11, has dropped her tray. She's holding her face with both hands, rocking slightly. There's something glistening on her cheek. The overseer is there in seconds. No yelling, no lectures. Just a hand on the girl's shoulder and a single word, "Office." She doesn't argue, just stands and walks, slowly, like she already knows. The girl next to you whispers, "That's the 3rd this week." You nod. The phosphorus is winning. Lunch break passes in a blur. You nibble at your crust of bread, not because you're hungry, but because chewing helps distract from the pressure in your jaw. Until it doesn't. One bite too far to the left, and the pain explodes behind your eye. You cough, half choke, and swallow it all down. You spend the next 2 hours in silence. Dip, lay, wince. Your fingers have developed tiny blisters. They pop quietly under pressure. You ignore them. By late afternoon, you notice something new. Someone's drawing. A girl 2 seats over is scribbling in chalk on the underside of the table. You sneak a glance. It's crude, but clear. A girl with sunken cheeks and X's for eyes. Her jaw glowing like a lantern. The letters beside it say, "Me soon." You smile just for a second. It's the first time anyone's made a joke in days. Or weeks. Fringe researchers say some girls developed dark humor as a coping mechanism. They carved it into benches, scratched it onto matchboxes. One phrase from the era still floats around archives. The factory's kiss is forever. You believe it now. The end of shift creeps closer. You don't stand as straight. You don't see as clearly. Your ears hum. Your teeth hurt. You haven't spoken aloud since morning. The girl beside you sniffs and mutters, "You're drooling blood." You wipe your mouth. She's right. You cover it with your sleeve and pretend nothing happened. Because the bell hasn't rung yet. Because you're not ready for the office. Not yet. The bell finally tolls, and the sound feels like mercy. Brief, metallic mercy that rings through your aching jaw and down into your sore feet. You stand slowly, scarf still tight around your neck, one hand pressed lightly to your cheek. No one looks at you, or maybe they do, and just choose not to react. Either way, you're grateful for the silence. You shuffle with the other girls into the corridor for the break. The air outside the workroom smells only slightly better. Less phosphorus, more dust and human. You lean against the wall near the end, the furthest spot from the foreman's patrol path. As you press your head back, you feel something give in your gum line. Not a snap, not yet, but like the floorboards of your mouth are beginning to warp. You're not bleeding yet, but you know it's coming. You tug your scarf higher. Nearby, two girls trade whispers over a wrapped biscuit one managed to smuggle in. She breaks it in half and offers a piece to the girl beside her. That girl shakes her head and points to her cheek. It's puffy, like yours, maybe worse. Her eyes are glassy. Her lips barely move. The girl holding the biscuit gives a slow nod and puts it away. No further explanation needed. Not here. You catch yourself leaning forward slightly, not just from pain, but from a strange sense of kinship. You're not the only one. Somehow, that's comforting and horrifying. Your break ends without incident, but the walk back feels longer than usual. Your feet drag. Your shoulders slump. You're 10 years old with the posture of a widow, and your mouth tastes like a penny steeped in vinegar. By now everything hurts, but your jaw is in a league of its own. Every heartbeat sends a pulse through it. A wet throb that makes your vision flutter at the edges. When you sit, the pain sharpens, as though gravity itself is pressing down on your face. You pick up a matchstick and hesitate. For the first time since you arrived, you consider not doing it. Just sitting there, doing nothing. Letting the overseer come. Letting the shift end early. For you. But then you picture your mother, asleep in the chair by the stove, the cracked teapot, the crying baby. And you keep working. Pick, dip, lay. You lose count around tray number 3, or maybe 4. The hours begin to melt together like wax on a hot plate. You have a vague memory of knocking over your water tin, but you're not sure when. It doesn't matter. What matters is that something new has begun inside your mouth. A smell. Not from outside, not from the sulfur or the gas lamps, but from you, inside you. It's sweet again, but not like sugar. Like rot pretending to be sugar. A trickster scent, clinging to your teeth, your tongue, the back of your throat. That's the smell the overseers know. That's the smell that gets girls sent to the nurse. You chew on your tongue trying to stop it, but it's no use. It's in you now. Historians describe the smell clinically. A sweet, pungent odor often described as sickly. But no words can capture what it feels like to realize you're the source of it. That your own body has turned traitor. You think for a second about the chalk drawing under the table. Me soon. It doesn't feel funny anymore. The girl beside you isn't working as quickly either. Her fingers are twitching. She keeps adjusting her seat. You notice her tray's not even half full. She leans in and whispers, "Do you think they know?" You blink. Who? The ladies in the big houses, the ones who light these matches. You don't answer right away, because the truth is some of them do. By the 1880s, middle-class women had begun to hear whispers about the factory girls, about the phosphorus, about the jaws. Reformers like Annie Besant made it into the newspapers. But change was slow, glacial. A few signatures, a few speeches. Nothing fast enough to help you. Maybe, you whisper back. Maybe they just don't want to know. She nods. Her eyes are wet. You feel the urge to say something comforting, something kind. But your mouth doesn't want to move anymore. Your gums are stiff. Your teeth feel loose, like stones in wet sand. You make it through the next hour only because your body is on autopilot. Your hands keep dipping. Your eyes stay down. You count trays in your head like prayers. The overseer walks by. He pauses near your row. You hold your breath. Then, miracle, he moves on. You let the air out slowly through your nose. Not your mouth. Never your mouth. Not anymore. The bell tolls at last. Another day done. Another night coming. Your legs are jelly as you walk. The girl beside you clutches your sleeve once before slipping into the darkness toward her own alleyway. She doesn't say goodbye. You don't either. The walk home is slower than before. You stop once to lean on a lamppost, pretending to tie your shoe. Really, you're trying not to cry. Not because of the pain. You're used to pain now. It's something else. Something worse. It's knowing that this doesn't stop. There's no finish line. No graduation. No magic age where it all gets better. For girls like you, there's only phosphorus and pain and the hope that someone notices before your jaw falls off. You reach the tenement, climb the stairs, collapse into a corner. Your brother coughs in his sleep. You lie there for a long time, eyes open, scarf still on. You wonder what you'll look like tomorrow, and if anyone will still recognize you. The next morning arrives without ceremony. No rooster crowing. No warm sunlight pouring through gingham curtains. Just the dull groan of floorboards, a clatter in the alley, and your brother's cough splitting the silence like a crack in ice. You try to move. Bad idea. Your neck rebels, stiff and hot. Your cheek feels huge, like someone stuffed a stone under your skin. You touch it and hiss softly. The swelling has spread. Down your jawline, toward your ear. Breathing through your mouth tastes like metal dipped in syrup. The sweet rot is stronger. You're almost glowing. Not literally, yet. But that idea, whispered among girls with gauze-wrapped cheeks, lingers in your mind. Some say if the jaw rots deep enough, it begins to emit a faint green light in the dark, like a lantern lit from inside your skull. Fringe medical notes claim this happened, but historians still argue whether phosphorus truly caused visible bioluminescence. You're too scared to find a pitch-black room to test the theory. You pull the scarf tighter. Your mother eyes you over her teacup, face unreadable. Maybe she doesn't want to see, or maybe she's seen too many like you already. She hands you your shoes and nods toward the door. You're late. The streets outside are quieter than usual. Rain fell during the night, turning the cobblestones slick and treacherous. You slip once, but catch yourself. A boy laughs from a stoop. You ignore him. Even mockery feels like too much attention. When the factory gates come into view, you hesitate. Not because of the pain. That's expected. But because today, you're not sure you'll make it to the end of the shift. You take a breath. Wrong move. The sharp air cuts through your lungs and tickles the edge of a gag. You swallow it down and keep walking. Inside, the usual ritual unfolds. You find your station. Dip, lay, dip, lay. But something's different. The girl beside you, the one with the scar and the cough, she's not here. You glance around. Her stool is empty. No tray, no apron. Gone. You want to ask, but no one does that here. Asking means attention. Attention means danger. You lower your head and work. Except it's hard to focus when half your face is on fire, and the other half feels like it's turning to wax. Every motion is an act of stubbornness. Every tray feels like climbing a hill with rocks in your shoes and a boot on your back. Then comes the whisper. She saw Annie. Your ears perk. It's the girl across from you, whispering behind a curtain of greasy hair. Said she came back last night, down near the docks. Spoke with Matchgirls about forming another protest. Annie Besant. Her name is legend among you. Half activist, half ghost story. A writer, reformer, someone who dared to say the factory shouldn't be this way. That girls shouldn't rot before puberty. She led a real strike in 1888. Helped change laws. You don't know what year this is now. Just that it feels like that moment again. The other girl leans in. She's trying to write another piece. They say she needs stories, real ones, what they've done to us. Your throat tightens, not just from infection. What would you say? You ask, barely above a breath. The girl shrugs. That I miss my teeth. You both almost laugh. Almost. It comes out like a cough. Later, during break, you sit near the cracked wall where the girls scrawl messages with chalk nubs. Most are simple. A 3 gone this week. Tell Besant. Still burning. One says simply, my name is not you. You find a shard of chalk and write your name too, beneath the rest, small and slanted. It feels like rebellion, like a scream whispered into a storm. When you return to your station, the matron watches you longer than usual. Her eyes linger on your scarf, your hunched posture. You keep your tray moving. Show her you're not weak. Not yet, but you are. You feel the rot growing. At lunch, you press your fingers to your cheek. There's heat now. Real fever. Your gums are bleeding slightly. You spit into your sleeve and hide the stain. The girl across the aisle gives you a look. She knows. I saw her, she says. Who? Annie, on Brick Lane. She was wearing green. You try to picture that. A woman in fine green wool, standing among the fog and filth. Her voice clear, her pen sharper than any blade in this building. Think she'll come here, you ask? She doesn't answer. The rest of the shift drips by like molasses. The pain in your mouth is matched only by the fog in your head. Your hands work without thought. A kind of mechanical instinct. You don't remember dipping half the sticks in your tray. They just appeared. That's how most girls get through it. Not strength, not resilience, dissociation. Your vision narrows, your breath shortens. The bell rings. You don't move right away. The girl beside you nudges your arm. You rise slowly, scarf pressed to your face, and shuffle toward the door. Outside, the sky is the same iron grey, but the air feels different. Charged. You hear whispers on the wind. That someone threw pamphlets over the fence. That Annie was seen near Mile End with a notebook. That someone smuggled a letter out hidden in a matchbox. And you think, maybe tomorrow you'll write yours. If your hands still work. If your jaw doesn't fall off overnight. If you're not sent to the nurse before sunrise. One more night. Just one more, you barely sleep. It's not the usual ache that keeps you up. It's something deeper now. A thudding, pulsing presence behind your eyes. Your cheek feels hot enough to cook an egg. The fever has settled in like it's paid rent. At some point in the night, you feel something warm and wet on your pillow. You don't want to look, but you do. It's blood, mixed with saliva, maybe pus. You're not sure. All you know is that it came from you, and it's not supposed to. You sit up slowly, cradling your face, and feel the telltale softness of skin separating from the bone underneath. This is what the older girls warned about, the moment when the disease starts eating inward. They never tell you what to do next, because by then, no one listens. You wrap the scarf tighter, tighter still, until it presses against the swelling like a second skin. You tie it behind your head, high and tight, like a bandage. It doesn't help the smell, though. That's still leaking from your pores. Your mother glances up as you reach for your coat. She frowns just slightly and looks at the scarf but says nothing. There's no don't go, no you need a doctor, because there's no money. There's no choice. She hands you your tin cup and turns back to the stove. Water again. You make your way down the stairs sideways. Full steps hurt too much. Each bounce of movement vibrates into your jaw like hammer taps. Outside, the city is grey and spitting rain. Not enough to call it real weather. Just that annoying wet mist that sneaks into collars and down spines. Halfway down the alley, you double over and retch. Nothing comes out. Your stomach's empty. You wipe your mouth and carry on. The factory gate feels like a guillotine now. You hesitate at the entrance. Not for long, just a breath. But that's enough. A matron sees. She narrows her eyes. You lower your head and step inside. Today, the dipping floor is strangely quiet. Less coughing, less chatter, fewer footsteps. You notice empty stools. Not just one. Not just the girl from yesterday. 3, maybe 4. Gone. The girl across from you nods slightly. She sees it too. You sit. You pick up the tray. The motions are there, but your body's lagging. Like you're watching yourself through thick glass. Pick, dip, lay. Pick, dip. You drop a matchstick. It clatters on the table and rolls to the floor. The matron glances over. Just once. You reach for another. The pain has spread now. Your whole jaw, your neck, even your collarbone. It feels like your head is too heavy for your shoulders. You try not to move it too much. You keep your mouth closed tight. Don't let the smell out. Don't let the pus leak. The girl beside you whispers, "You don't look right." You give her the smallest nod you can manage. You want to say, "I know." But opening your mouth would be a mistake. Mid-morning, the bell rings. The usual rustle of stools. Girls stretch their backs. Some sit against the wall. Some run to the loo. You don't move. You stay at your table, hand frozen over a half-finished tray. And then, quietly, you feel it. A tooth comes loose. You're not biting or chewing, it just gives up. You feel it shift, as though your gums have surrendered. You cup your hand beneath your mouth and tip your head, carefully. The tooth falls out, silent and warm. It lands in your palm like a coin dropped by fate. You stare at it. That's yours. That was part of you. Gone. You feel sick. The girl beside you sees. Her eyes widen. She shakes her head, not in shock, in warning, because she knows what happens next. You take the tooth, wrap it in the hem of your scarf, and tuck it into your pocket. Maybe someone will believe you, maybe Annie Besant, maybe if they see the tooth, they'll understand. You make it through the rest of the shift on sheer instinct. You don't even remember dipping. Your body moves without asking your brain. You're saving your energy for walking, for breathing. When the bell rings at the end of the day, you stand up too fast and nearly fall. The girl beside you catches your arm, steadies you. She whispers, "Don't come tomorrow." You blink. They're watching. You smell like it now. They'll send you to the nurse or worse. You swallow hard. It burns. But she's not wrong. You shuffle out with the others, scarf still clutched around your face, eyes to the ground. You make it 3 steps outside the gate before a folded piece of paper slips into your palm. No one looks at you, no one says a word. You open it behind a corner. Brick Lane, Tuesday after dusk, bring your story. No signature. But you know who it's from. And you finally feel something besides pain. You feel hope. You don't go home, not right away. Instead, you duck into the shadows near the alley wall and clutch the note tighter. Brick Lane, Tuesday, after dusk. You read it 3 times, making sure your mind isn't playing tricks on you. Each time, the words stay the same. It's Monday. That means tomorrow. You have 1 night and 1 day to figure out if you're brave enough or desperate enough. Maybe both. The walk home is slower than ever. You press one hand to your pocket where the loose tooth sits bundled in scarf fabric. The other still clutches the note. Your mouth pulses with a sick rhythm. You wonder what the inside of your cheek looks like now. You're afraid to find out. By the time you reach your tenement, the sun has vanished behind the London smog, leaving the streets dim and yellow under flickering gas lamps. The fog hugs everything. It's not the soft, romantic kind. They never mention the smell in books. Like wet newspaper and chimney ash and something faintly rotten underneath. Inside your flat, your mother doesn't say much. She's stirring a pot with the same expression she always wears. Tired, focused, miles away in thought. You sit in the corner and rest your back against the wall. You drift in and out of sleep without ever fully relaxing. Your jaw wakes you every time you shift. When your little brother cries in the night, you want to comfort him. But your lips won't form the words. That morning you don't go to the factory. Instead, you pretend to leave. You put on your coat, tie the scarf high around your face, and step into the grey morning like always. But instead of turning toward the factory gates, you turn left, toward Brick Lane. You've never skipped work, not once. You don't even know what you'll say if someone catches you. But there's something worse than punishment now. Staying silent. You don't know where exactly you're going. The note didn't say. Just Brick Lane. Just after dusk. But you can't wait that long. Not with the tooth in your pocket. Not with your face slowly softening. So you walk and walk. Brick Lane isn't far, but it feels like another country. The buildings change. Taller, narrower. A mix of shops and bakeries and cloth stalls. A man shouts in Yiddish. A woman with a child strapped to her back sells second-hand boots. You blend in. Just another ragged girl. By mid-morning, you find a small alley beside a print shop. It smells of ink and damp paper. There's a soot-stained poster peeling off the wall. Matchgirls strike. We will not rot quietly. Underneath, someone's drawn a crooked jawbone in charcoal. You sit against the wall and wait. No one comes, not yet, but you're patient. The hours pass in a haze. You drift between naps and half-dreams. You remember the factory floor, the heat of the phosphorus tray. The girl who said, "Don't breathe when it smokes." You wonder where she is now. At one point you cough. It tastes like metal and pus. You spit into your scarf. The sun begins to dip. Then you hear footsteps. Not loud, not hurried, but deliberate. You sit up straighter. A woman appears at the mouth of the alley. Not young, not old. Red hair peeking beneath a green felt hat. She looks like she belongs on a book cover, not in your story. She doesn't smile, just lowers her eyes and says, "You're early." You nod. She kneels beside you, doesn't flinch when the smell hits her. That's how you know she's real. "I'm Annie," she says softly. "You came to tell me your story." You nod again. It's hard to speak. Not just from pain, though that's part of it, but because you haven't been spoken to in so long. Not like this. Not with gentleness. She holds out a hand, not to shake, just to hold, as if to say, "You're allowed to be seen." You place the tooth in her palm. She doesn't react right away, just turns it in her fingers, then looks at you. "I'm so sorry," she whispers. And you believe her. She pulls a notebook from her satchel, flips it open. "Tell me everything." So you do. Your words are slow, sticky. Some get lost, some never form. But she writes. Every sentence, every glance, every rot-soft day in the dipping room. She writes your name. She asks about the girls who vanished, the foreman with the cane, the matron who looked the other way. You speak until your voice runs dry. Then you hand her the crumpled chalk note from the wall. "My name is not you." She writes that down too. When you're finished, she nods and says, "You did the right thing." You ask, "Will it matter?" She pauses. "Maybe not today, but soon, I promise." She gives you a card. It's thick, with embossed letters. London Matchgirls Committee. "You're not alone," she says. And for the first time in days, you almost believe it. You don't go home that night. Instead, Annie leads you to a small room above the print shop. It's not much, just a cot, a basin, a kettle resting on a chipped iron stove. But to you, it feels like the Ritz. The walls don't drip. The floor doesn't creak under invisible rats. And the air, while still thick with ink and coal, lacks the choking sting of phosphorus. You sit on the edge of the cot while she lights a lamp. The warm glow paints the room in soft golds and browns. Your scarf is still wrapped tightly around your face, but Annie doesn't ask you to remove it. She just places a cup of warm water in your hand and says, "Try to sleep." You nod. But sleep isn't simple anymore. Your body is buzzing with exhaustion, yes, but also with something else. A strange hum that isn't pain or fever. It's the memory of speaking, of being heard, of watching someone write your story down like it mattered. You lie down slowly, careful not to rest on your swollen cheek. Every muscle protests, every inch of you aches. But for the first time in what feels like forever, you fall asleep without fear of a bell waking you in 4 hours. The next morning, Annie is gone. A note sits on the table. "Went to meet the committee. Stay as long as you like. You are safe here." You don't know what the committee is exactly, but the words "safe here" make your throat tighten. You stay in that room for 2 days. On the second morning, you wake to the sound of hammering downstairs. Through the thin floorboards, you hear voices. Women's voices. Loud, determined. Someone's shouting about signatures, about reform, about how girls are dying, and they still want to argue over match quality. You smile. But by the third day, you start to wonder what's happening at the factory. Not because you miss it, God no, but because of the girls. The ones who couldn't leave. The ones who didn't get a green-hatted miracle. So that afternoon, you take the back stairs and slip out into the alley. The scarf is still with you, wrapped now not just for warmth, but for anonymity. You head back toward the East End. It's easy to blend in. 100 girls your size pass through the streets each hour, faces hollow, eyes down. The factory spits smoke like nothing has changed. When you reach Bryant and May, you don't go through the front gate. You wait near the rear fence, ducking behind a pile of crates, and then you see her. The girl with the scar. She's coming out of the side door, lunch pail clutched to her chest, steps slower than before. She looks thinner, paler, but alive. You call out softly. She turns, eyes wide. When she recognizes you, something shifts in her face. Not surprise, not fear, relief. You walk toward her, meet halfway. She doesn't ask where you've been, just says, "They think you died." You snort. It hurts your jaw, but you do it anyway. "Not yet." She nods once, then glances over her shoulder. "Things are weird. They brought in doctors yesterday. Said they're going to inspect everyone's mouths once a week." You frown. That's new. She leans closer. "Someone's been writing letters. One got published. The Times. It had names." Your heart skips. Annie did it. She made it real. Your friend lowers her voice. "Girls are starting to whisper about a strike, like the one back in '88. You shake your head. This is a new one. She nods. We'll need someone to talk. Someone who's already out. You understand what she's asking, not in words, in that quiet space between breaths. You press the card Annie gave you into her hand. Tell the others, you say. There's a place. Above the print shop on Brick Lane. They're listening. She looks at the card like it's a golden ticket. Then she tucks it into her apron and says, You should go. You still look sick. You smile again, smaller this time. The infection's slowed, or maybe the rest and food helped. But your body still remembers. It always will. You turn to go, but she grabs your wrist one last time. Thank you, she says. You nod. Tell them to write their names. She grins. We already started. That night, back at the room, Annie returns. She's exhausted but smiling. She drops a stack of leaflets on the table. The top one reads, The Phosphorus Girls, What London is Hiding. You feel your name inside it. And for once, that doesn't scare you. The next morning, you wake to a sound you haven't heard in weeks. Laughter. Not loud, not raucous. Just a small giggle from below the window, like a secret slipping out. You sit up and peek through the cracked glass. Below, 2 girls are huddled near the back entrance of the print shop. One's wearing a cap too big for her head, and the other clutches a small cloth bag. You recognize the one on the right. Lydia, you think, from the factory floor. She used to draw skulls on matchboxes when the overseer wasn't looking. They've found it. The place, the room, the hope. You pull your scarf tighter and head down the stairs. Inside the shop, it smells of hot ink and burning oil. Annie's already at her desk, papers strewn in organized chaos, lips pursed, pen scribbling. She sees you and nods toward the back. They came early, said they didn't want to wait for permission. You smile. They never do. By midday, the back room is full. 5 girls, then 7, then 10. Some still wear factory aprons. Others have borrowed coats too big for them. They sit on crates, stools, even the floor. Each one holds a story, and you're the one they ask to listen. At first you're nervous, but once you start, the words pour out like they've been waiting. You describe the match trays, the sting of phosphorus, the night your tooth fell out, the card, the walk to Brick Lane. Some girls cry, others just nod. They've lived it too. Annie listens from the corner, scribbling furiously. One girl, only 9, freckles scattered like stars, raises her hand. They said girls don't get sick unless they're weak. You look her in the eye. Then why are we all sick? That gets a laugh, a sad one but real. A quiet revolution begins in that room. Not with fire, not with fists, but with pencils and memory and voices. Later that week, Annie sends a draft of the article to the Times. You help seal the envelope. She tells you they might ignore it, might twist it, might bury it behind headlines about Parliament and imports. But what if they don't, she says. You start to believe she's right. Over the next few days, the meetings grow. Girls come in 2s and 3s. One brings a broken tray, another a tooth wrapped in cloth. Someone draws a diagram of the factory floor from memory, marking where the worst fumes settle, where the water leaks, where the matron hides the bad chalk. You copy it by hand. Annie smiles. You're a historian now. You laugh. Still can't read half of what I write, but it doesn't matter, because it's happening. A record, a revolt. Then comes the whisper. One of the print shop boys says the foreman is asking questions, wants names, thinks someone's been leaking information. There's talk of inspections, threats, tighter security at the gates. The girls panic. Some say they should stop, lay low, wait it out. You shake your head. They'll just start over. That's what they do. They replace, they recycle, they forget. But not this time. Annie calls a full meeting. The room is packed, standing room only. Even the upstairs hallway holds quiet faces. She looks at you. Will you speak? You hesitate, then nod. You stand on a wooden crate in your patched skirt and scorched scarf and tell them what happened. The nights you couldn't sleep. The day you almost didn't get up. The bell you learned to fear more than death. You hold up the tooth. You say, this is what they paid me in. Silence. Then applause. Not thunderous, not dramatic, but steady. The girls stomp their feet, clap their blistered hands. A few cry. Annie steps forward. Then it's decided. She holds up a leaflet, the new one. Strike notice. No more phosphorus. No more silence. The plan is simple. They stop working. One morning together, no show. They wait outside the gates, hands linked. Not loud, just there, visible. Girls from Spitalfields, from Whitechapel, from Shoreditch, together. And you'll be there too, not as a worker anymore, but as a witness. The morning of the strike is colder than expected. London fog has settled heavy, like the city itself is holding its breath. You stand across the street from the factory gates, scarf still wrapped tight, a stack of fresh leaflets tucked under your coat. Annie walks beside you, her green hat low, her breath visible as she murmurs, "They'll call us liars, hysterical, ungrateful." You nod. They already do, but today they won't be able to ignore you. At exactly 7 o'clock, the gates creak open. No one enters. Instead, a slow, steady stream of girls files down the street, not toward work, but toward the curb. They come in silence. No banners, no chants. Just linked arms and serious faces. Dozens. Then scores. Then more. You recognize many of them. The girl with the scar. Lydia with the chalk-stained skirt. Even the freckled one who asked about weakness. They take their positions like it's a game they've rehearsed, faces forward, feet still. Inside the factory, a foreman peers out, frowning. He steps into the street, cane in hand. His voice cracks across the fog. "Get inside, you filthy rats." No one moves. A few girls glance at you. You nod. Annie hands out the first leaflet. You follow. The leaflets fly like birds. Tucked into pockets, slipped to mothers walking by. Handed to bakery workers and tram drivers. One headline glows bold. "The jaw girls of Bryant and May. Rot in exchange for bread." A man in a stovepipe hat scoffs as he passes. Propaganda. A woman with a toddler reads the page, then pulls her shawl tighter and keeps walking. But a newsboy grabs one, squints at the bold type, and starts shouting, "Strike at the match factory. Rotten jaws and cruel overseers." Just like that, it spreads. By midday, the street is thick with curious onlookers. Men with umbrellas, women with gloved hands, clerks, porters, errand boys. A few constables show up. They ask questions, no one answers. You sit beside Lydia on the curb and feel something shift, something you can't name. A tilt in the air, a hush before a storm. Annie returns from a meeting with 2 factory board members. She's not smiling. "They won't speak with the girls directly," she says. "They want a written petition, names, evidence." You pull the chalk drawing from your coat pocket. "My name is not you say. "Will that do?" She stares at it. "Then, let's make more." You spend the next 2 hours writing, not essays, not articles, just names. A single sheet passed from hand to hand. Each girl adds her name, then another, then another. Some write with pride, others hesitate, but all of them do it. By the time the sun begins to fall, the list stretches longer than your arm. Annie takes it in both hands like it's sacred. "This is what they fear," she says. "Not fire, not fists, but names." You nod. Your jaw hurts. It always will. But today, it's worth it. Suddenly, there's a commotion at the front of the crowd. A carriage has pulled up. A man steps out, round, bearded, wearing a waistcoat that costs more than your flat. You recognize him from old posters around the factory. One of the owners. He looks confused, then angry, then worried. Because this is bigger than just one sick girl now. Bigger than one tooth, one protest. It's a story, a movement, a crack in the stone. And cracks spread. He tries to speak, but the crowd drowns him out, not with shouts, but with silence. The kind that judges, the kind that waits. Annie stands, holds up the paper. "These girls have spoken, now you listen." Someone claps. Then more. Then the entire block. A rhythmic sound, slow and solemn and unstoppable. The man turns, climbs back into his carriage, and disappears into the fog. Later that night, back at the print shop, Annie lays the petition on the table. "We mail it tomorrow," she says. "To Parliament?" She smiles. "To everyone." You sit down beside her, cheeks flushed. Not from fever, but from something else entirely. This is what it feels like to be heard. The next morning, London feels different. The fog is still there, of course. It always is. But beneath it, something moves. Like the city is stirring in its sleep, just beginning to realize it's been part of a nightmare. You're already awake. The petition is wrapped in brown paper, sealed tight with wax, and tucked beneath Annie's arm like a treasure map. You walk with her to the post office on Fleet Street, side by side, feet echoing on the stones. She mails it without ceremony. Just a nod to the clerk, who barely looks up. "That's it?" you ask. Annie smiles. The paper flies. We wait for the thunder. By midday, the thunder begins. You hear whispers in the shop. Then from the girls at the back door. Then from one of the printers who rushes in waving a newspaper, breathless. Front page, The Times. You grab it with shaking hands. There it is. A headline as bold as your heartbeat. The Phosphorus Girls speak. Rot and rebellion in the match factories. Your eyes scan the page. Quotes from Annie. Sketches of girls dipping sticks. A reprint of your name alongside dozens of others. But it's the final line that stops you cold. This match strikes a flame we can no longer ignore. Later that afternoon, you return to the factory gates. Not alone. Dozens of girls stand beside you again. Some from the original strike, others new. Word has spread. This time reporters come. Artists with charcoal pads sketch your faces. One woman asks to photograph you. You say no. The tooth in your pocket is proof enough. The factory gates remain closed for most of the day. No one dares force the girls back inside. But then, movement. A notice is nailed to the gate by a trembling clerk. Annie reads it aloud. All workers will be granted inspection by independent doctors. All use of white phosphorus shall cease pending review. No girl shall be dismissed for speaking with the press. There's silence. Then cheers. Not wild, not chaotic, but real. One girl faints. Another claps so hard she draws blood. You just stand there, scarf still on, jaw aching, eyes wide. It's happening. Not everything, not all at once. But something has cracked. That night, the print shop is packed again. You sit in the corner while Annie drafts letters. One to Parliament, another to a group in Paris organizing against child labor. You sip warm broth and watch the fire flicker in the stove. Your fingers are stained with ink. Your mouth still smells faintly metallic. But you feel safe. You changed it, Lydia says beside you. You shake your head. We did. The meetings continue all week. More stories are gathered. More names collected. A box is set up for confessions. Girls drop in scraps of memory, matchsticks, chalk sketches, even one tiny bloodied handkerchief. Each one becomes part of the archive. You keep writing. You tell the story of the girl who drew the glowing jaw, the one who passed you a biscuit but couldn't eat it herself, the matron who looked away but maybe regretted it. One day, Annie says she'll publish a book. You'll be in it. But for now, your story lives in the girls around you, in the way they stand taller, in the way they cough less, in the way they dip their matches no more. The change doesn't come like a thunderclap. It arrives slowly in pieces. The factory reopens, but something's different. The foreman doesn't yell as much. The dipping room stays closed for days at a time. White phosphorus disappears from the shelves, replaced with something duller, safer, still deadly in its own way, but not glowing death. And the girls? They watch. Some go back to work, cautiously. Others leave entirely, finding small jobs, less stable, less cruel. A few join the printers, folding pamphlets, stamping names. You stay in the room above the shop. Your jaw still aches. It always will. A reminder, a scar, but the rot has slowed. You've gained weight. Your hands are steady, and your voice, though thin and raspy, comes easier now. You use it to speak at gatherings, to whisper your story to visiting reformers, to answer quiet knocks on the door from girls too afraid to step inside. They come at night mostly, holding scarves over their faces, teeth already loose, eyes desperate. You welcome each one with a cup of broth and a promise. You're not alone. One afternoon, Annie brings you a newspaper from overseas. In bold letters, across the French top page, Les filles du phosphore, révolte à Londres. You can't read it all, but your name's there, so are your friends, and a crude sketch of a girl holding a matchstick like a sword. Paris knows, Annie says. You smile. What about Parliament? She shrugs, still arguing. Of course they are. Historians still argue whether the strike directly caused the Matchgirls Act, passed years later, banning white phosphorus entirely. Some say it was just pressure from abroad. Others point to Annie's writings. But most agree. It started with the stories. With you. You live quietly now. No fanfare, no titles. Just long evenings writing on scrap paper, remembering. Girls still come and go. Some bring letters from Manchester, Glasgow, even Dublin. They call you Miss, sometimes teacher. You laugh at that, then help them write their names. You still keep the tooth. It sits in a box, beside a matchstick dipped in red ink, wrapped in paper with the words, "I was not weak." You've thought about throwing it away, but you don't, because one night, maybe soon, maybe years from now, a girl will sit across from you, shaking, face wrapped in a scarf, and she'll ask if the stories are true. You'll hand her the box and say, "Yes, you survived." So she can too. Word count 1015. Wind down 300 words. Now take a deep breath. Let the soft rhythm of the story fade behind your eyes. The match factory is far away now. The phosphorus fumes, the aching jaws, the cries from behind locked doors. They've drifted into memory, like a fog lifting from cobblestones after dawn. You're not there anymore. You're here, warm, safe. The world around you is quieter. Your body knows the difference. The girls we met tonight, they're still out there. Not just in books or articles, but in every whisper of rebellion. Every step forward made by voices once told to hush. Their strength lives in stories. And in you. Let your shoulders relax. Loosen your jaw, your fingers, your brow. You made it through the cold, the silence, the long march of working hours that never seemed to end. And in doing so, you carried their names with you. You lit a match they passed down through time. Not to burn, but to guide. Think of that glow, not the phosphorus kind, a different kind. The one behind your chest, the one that steadies your breath now. You did well. You listened, remembered, bore witness, and now it's time to rest. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your breath slow. The fire's gone out for the night, but your story burns gently on. End of script. Sweet dreams.